Tonight, Canada's not ready to welcome Benjamin Netanyahu anytime soon. And an Ontario teacher's disturbing conversation with Muslim students for skipping Pride activities. And coming up later in the show from our archives, a discussion on summer activities for students, including passion projects and financial planning.
The global influence is changing. And because we have access now to so much information and so much influence from all parts of the world, it goes without saying that we would have to be more reliant on a diverse workforce.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I am Saamiyah Syed. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has expressed concern about Israel's policies. While talking to reporters yesterday, he said no immediate plans to invite Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to Canada. Trudeau has reiterated Canada's opposition to Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank, calling them illegal under international law. He called for de-escalation and peace in the region. He also acknowledged the difficult situation for both Israelis and Palestinians. Canada is a close ally of Israel. Despite this, Trudeau acknowledged points of disagreement between the two nations. Israel has been intensifying military raids in the West Bank, leading to casualties among Palestinians. Canada joined Australia and the UK in expressing concerns about the settlement expansion hindering a two-state solution. Trudeau also criticized Netanyahu's judicial reform plans, urging him to seek a middle ground. Trudeau's statement coincides with Israeli President Isaac Herzog's speech before the U.S. Congress, emphasizing Israel's strength and resilience as a democracy. Another Canadian firefighter has died in the line of duty. Following the news, Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault says Ottawa is doing all it can to prevent further tragedies. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police have confirmed that a 41-year-old Alberta resident was killed when his helicopter crashed Wednesday in a marshy area while fighting a wildfire in northern Alberta. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith calls the tragic loss a reminder of how frontline workers put their lives on the line to keep everyone safe. Guilbeault says in the past 3 years, the government has spent $65 million on wildfire management programs. These programs aim to train fire specialists and reducing the risk of casualties. Canada experiences wildfires each year in early spring. However, this year's wildfires are the worst. In Alberta, there are 117 active fires. More than 885 wildfires are currently burning across the country. Out of these, 600 are out of control. As of last week, 10 million hectares have been consumed by wildfires. That's about a quarter of the size of Newfoundland. An elementary school teacher in Windsor, Ontario, has been caught on tape berating Muslim students for skipping the school's LGBTQ Pride Day in June. The exclusive recording is published by True North News. In a disturbing indoctrination, the teacher criticizes the students about their faith. She compares their abstention to disrespecting the Pride community. She calls their choice of not attending Pride activities disgusting and an incredible show of hatred. She expresses her hurt and disappointment, stating she didn't want to be their teacher anymore. The students tried to defend themselves, saying they weren't trying to disrespect her or the LGBTQ community. The teacher also urged the Muslim students to challenge their parents' beliefs. In response to the absent students on Pride Day, the teacher and other teachers plastered LGBTQ rainbows all over the school. True North says the school's principal has issued an apology, stating that the teacher's comments were inappropriate and did not reflect the school's values of acceptance and inclusion. In a separate incident at a Londonderry school in Edmonton, a teacher was recorded blasting Muslim students for skipping Pride activities. To hear more about the summer projects and ideas to occupy students for the next few months, stay tuned and we'll be right back. Now, have you ever wondered about the future? Especially when we have kids, how do we help them realize and achieve their dreams? What should we be teaching them and how? Moreover, how can we, from our side, do our best to make them good and practicing Muslims along this journey? Muslim Home's recent issue discusses just that. And joining us now to tell us more is Sister Dahira Lynn Eppard, the Director of Religious Education at Sound Vision Foundation. Welcome, Sister Dahira, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me once again.
Sister Dahira, the first article in the rundown for the recent issue discusses future careers. What do we know about plausible career paths in the future?
So there's a tremendous amount of data being collected about this. We know that technology will be around and there's an increasing focus on artificial intelligence as well. But there will still be the kinds of careers that are people focused, that are health related, that are providing different kinds of labor, that are um, educating. We know that those will not be going away. So there's a lot of information that suggests that there are certain kinds of skill sets that people need and children will need too. Those things involve writing, language skills, analytic skills, critical thinking. All of those kinds of things are really important to make sure our children have at a very early age.
Mhm. What I found really interesting in that article is that they said for jobs in the future, there will be more demand for people who are multilingual. Can you expand on this?
So this is a really interesting situation, particularly for Muslims, because Muslims come in usually with one or more languages in their own households,
Mhm.
and we know that the global economy, the global news, the global influence is changing, and because we have access now to so much information and so much influence from all parts of the world, it goes without saying that we would have to be more reliant on a diverse workforce and more sensitive to the needs of diverse workers, and that's where language skills come in.
Mhm. It's interesting that despite us going online, we still have to really double down on our writing and analytical skills, which we typically associate with being on pen and paper. But another one of the recommendations for parents to help their children explore their interests and career paths is a passion project. Can you explain what a passion project is?
This article by Melissa Beretta was so interesting. And it's about trying to allow your children to follow what they're really interested in. Um, we can coach them and direct them in certain ways, but if the kids are not really interested or don't enjoy or love what they're pursuing, it makes a huge difference down the road, particularly in terms of a career field. Melissa suggested that you allow kids, you follow what they're naturally inclined to do. In her own household, this included one of her sons pursuing cooking. He loved to cook, and she loved incorporating his help in the kitchen and even allowing him to focus attention on meals. Another one of her sons really loved mystery novels. And so he, on his very own, developed a book club that would meet once a month to talk about a different book that had been assigned. By doing that, he learned all kinds of skills, organization skills, discussion skills. These were things that he was interested in already, and they're things that will help him into the future.
Mhm. Oftentimes, I hear parents say that their kids don't really have an interest in anything. How do they go about finding a passion project to work on then?
So I think sometimes parents get myopically focused on academic pursuits. Passion projects could include things like gardening, like art, like sewing, like doing any kind of community service work. There are all kinds of ways to pick up new skills. By allowing your children to participate in extracurricular activities, you may happen them into things that they enjoy, and those can be passion projects into the future.
Mhm.
Creative writing is another area that is a wonderful means of providing kids with an opportunity to learn more about themselves and learn more about communication generally.
Mhm. Now, I'm all for passion projects. I know that when I was younger, I used to build houses out of popsicle sticks, and it's something that I continue until today. And it's not my area of focus, but it's just something really fun and engaging to do. But when I try to propose this to the younger generation, people who are in grade 2 or above, oftentimes they'll say that, I'm tired from being at school all day. I don't want to work anymore. How can we encourage them to work on these projects if that's the kind of response we get?
So, a real passion project won't feel like work. And that's why something like working with popsicle sticks cannot bring you stress. It can actually be relaxing. It can help you decompress after a hard day. So, again, the focus here is parents allowing children to take the lead, to make the decisions for themselves. You cannot impose a passion project. A passion project organically develops.
Mhm. Now, another part of the future is quite a big one. It's financial planning. Sister Dahir, I'm wondering, when do we start introducing financial literacy to kids?
This can start really young because kids often have a focus on money anyway. They're paying attention to what you do with money. And so it's really important for Muslim kids to have a good understanding of what it means Islamically to focus attention on money and finance. We know that any money we have is a gift from Allah, it's a blessing. And we can teach children very early about that. They can collect money that they get. They can learn to save money. The photo that went along with this article, I absolutely love. It was of a young child with three jars in front of her. One said savings, one said toys, and the other said charity. We can help our kids in a very visual way understand that if the money belongs to Allah, then our management of it is what is important. And Laura Elameen's work on this topic was amazing. I would encourage all of our listeners to read that article.
Mhm. It was very interesting. And one point that I really enjoyed reading about financial literacy is modeling and voicing our thinking processes while making financial decisions. Can you explain for our audience what that means?
It means to not hide the work that's related to money or expenses from our children. Again, if you take your child to the store and you are contemplating whether to buy a generic product or a name brand product because of price, and your child is with you, focus their attention on the difference in price. Talk about whether or not that automatically means a difference in quality. Talk about what that means in terms of saving money. Also, big purchases can be something that a whole family discusses. If you're interested in going on vacation and you have a certain budget, you can talk about and think about how we can save in order to reach that goal, what it will mean diverting money from other kinds of activities. Or if we want to buy a car, what it means to save toward a large purchase toward that. There are all kinds of big purchases we make in families, and our children should not be pulled out of those discussions. Including them in them allows them to see wealth and management of it as a very practical life skill.
Quite well said there, Sister Dahira. Something that I struggle myself with and wonder how to manage with my future kids is while planning our career, our future, and also living in the present dunya, how do we manage or feed our spiritual self, so to speak? How do we teach our kids to manage everything that's going on in their career, but to also live as a Muslim?
This balance is essential for every Muslim, and Muslim parents are responsible for teaching this to our children. And so, Wendy Diaz, one of our writers, wrote an amazing article about teaching our children about the day of judgment, about the approaching hour. If we have to know ourselves how to conduct ourselves and understand what the purpose of our lives are, here in this world. Children can understand that too, and we can make decisions then that are pleasing to Allah. It's essential that we know the signs of the coming of the hour, the day of judgment. Those things we are seeing happen around us. They include increased use of intoxicants, wine, increased sexual activity outside of marriage, increased natural disasters, time passing more quickly. All of those things can help children understand that the day and hour is really now. Let's make sure that we understand our religion and implement it in our daily lives.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Sister Dahira, and giving us one of those reminders and healthy tips on how we can prepare our kids for the future.
Thank you too, and I hope everyone can jump online and take a look at our most recent Muslim home parenting newsletter.
You are watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. That's it from our Toronto studios tonight. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more Canadian Muslim content. Stay safe, and until next time.